July 1943, Munda Point, New Georgia Island. Japanese commanders studied reconnaissance photographs and radioed confident assessments to Rabaul headquarters. American forces had landed with construction equipment on terrain their own engineers surveyed months earlier. Dense jungle on waterlogged coral. Japanese construction estimates 6 months minimum for a functional bomber strip. High Command calculated comfortable time for sustained aerial interdiction before the facility threatened their operations. They were devastatingly wrong. Official U.S. Navy records document that the 24th Naval Construction Battalion completed a fully operational 6,000-foot bomber runway in just 20 days, while enduring 2 to 3 Japanese bombing raids daily and intermittent naval shelling. By the time Japanese commanders grasped what happened, American B-24 Liberators were already launching strike missions against their own bases. This wasn't anomalous. Across the Pacific Theater, Japanese military planners repeatedly made the identical fatal miscalculation. After-action reports verify that Imperial forces estimated American construction timelines using their own engineering capabilities and conventional military construction doctrine. The documented reality? Naval Construction Battalion war diaries show Americans completing critical infrastructure at speeds Japanese intelligence deemed physically impossible, finishing in weeks what enemy engineers predicted required 6 months or longer. The numbers stagger belief. U.S. Navy statistics confirm Seabees constructed 111 major airstrips across the Pacific, 441 piers and docks, storage facilities for 100 million barrels of fuel, and housing for 1.5 million personnel, while Japanese forces struggled merely maintaining existing infrastructure under relentless American pressure. How did American construction crews accomplish what Japanese military planning considered impossible? The answer reveals one of World War II's most decisive yet underappreciated advantages. American industrial power transformed into combat capability, delivered by men who could build under fire faster than the enemy could destroy. Understanding Japanese confidence requires recognizing their documented engineering dominance throughout the Pacific. For nearly a decade before American forces arrived, Japanese military construction units, primarily Imperial Navy Special Landing Forces and Army Engineering Battalions, transformed remote Pacific islands into formidable military installations. Official Japanese military archives document impressive pre-war achievements. Between 1935 and 1941, Japanese engineers constructed elaborate base facilities across their League of Nations mandate territories. The heavily fortified naval bastions at Truk, Rabaul, and Kwajalein represented engineering marvels. Underground fuel storage, concrete reinforced hangars, extensive dock facilities, and sophisticated airfield networks. Intelligence documents from Imperial Navy headquarters show major airfields constructed on Saipan, Tinian, and Peleliu utilizing tens of thousands of Korean and Chinese conscript laborers combined with Japanese engineering expertise and tropical construction knowledge. Historical documentation from the Japanese 8th Area Army reveals their engineers developed sophisticated techniques specifically for tropical island construction. They pioneered coral runway construction methods using crushed coral and limestone aggregate that American intelligence initially struggled to comprehend. Captured Japanese engineering manuals demonstrated advanced quick-setting concrete formulations suited for high-humidity environments and systematic tropical hardwood utilization for construction materials. Most significantly, Japanese strategic planning documents from 1942 through 1943, now declassified in MacArthur Memorial Archives, reveal a fundamental operational assumption: Japanese forces could destroy infrastructure faster than Americans could construct or advance it. This confidence emerged from documented battlefield reality. During China campaigns throughout the 1930s, Japanese forces maintained operational momentum despite continuous infrastructure damage, proving their construction interdiction doctrine worked against determined opponents. Japanese intelligence assessments from early 1943, translated through Allied translator and interpreter section documents, display dismissive attitudes toward American construction capabilities. One captured intelligence summary from Japanese 17th Army headquarters stated, American construction depends on excessive material and machinery. The enemy cannot sustain such logistics across Pacific distances. Their construction timeline estimates assume unlimited resources which battlefield conditions will prove unsustainable. Furthermore, Japanese tactical doctrine, codified in official field manuals, emphasized sustained aerial bombing and artillery bombardment could indefinitely delay enemy construction efforts. Historical records confirm this approach succeeded against Chinese and Southeast Asian forces. Captured after-action reports from Japanese air units during 1942 documented successful disruption of Allied construction in the Dutch East Indies and Philippines, where conventional construction methods collapsed under sustained Japanese harassment. The Japanese military establishment entered 1943 supremely confident their proven construction interdiction tactics would halt American Pacific advance. Official U.S. Navy planning documents from late 1941 exposed the grim reality confronting American military planners. The United States entered World War II possessing virtually no organized military construction capability suited for Pacific operations. Traditional Army Corps of Engineers units, designed for domestic and European theater conditions, lacked equipment, training, and organizational structure for rapid tropical construction under combat conditions. Naval records document stark numerical disadvantages. December 1941 statistics show the U.S. Navy possessed approximately 10,000 civilian construction workers scattered across domestic shipyards and bases. 4 Pacific operations spanning millions of square miles, Navy planners calculated requirements exceeding 100,000 specialized construction personnel, needed immediately. Equipment shortages compounded the challenge. Congressional testimony from Rear Admiral Ben Morial in early 1942 revealed standard military construction equipment inventories were designed for peacetime base maintenance, not combat zone airfield construction. The Navy possessed insufficient quantities of heavy earth-moving equipment, concrete mixers, power generation units, and specialized tropical construction machinery. Allied skepticism pervades declassified correspondence. British military planners, documented in combined Chiefs of Staff minutes from March 1942, questioned American construction timeline estimates for Pacific bases. One British memorandum stated, "American projections appear optimistic given logistical challenges of supporting construction across Pacific distances. More realistic timelines should be calculated based on established military engineering standards." Internal American assessments revealed similar doubt. War Department logistics studies from spring 1942, preserved in National Archives, calculated that supporting large-scale construction operations across the Central Pacific required dedicating scarce shipping capacity that might better serve combat forces. One Army logistics officer noted in official correspondence, "Construction material tonnage requirements threaten to overwhelm available transport. We risk creating a construction capability we cannot sustain." Media coverage from early 1942 reflected widespread pessimism. Contemporary newspaper articles questioned whether American industrial methods could function effectively in primitive tropical conditions thousands of miles from supply sources. The engineering challenge appeared insurmountable, maintaining high-speed construction under combat conditions, across unprecedented distances, in hostile tropical environments. Yet classified Navy planning documents reveal Admiral Morial and his team developed a revolutionary approach rendering these concerns obsolete. Declassified Navy planning documents reveal Rear Admiral Ben Morial, Chief of the Bureau of Yards and Docks, developed a construction concept shattering traditional military engineering doctrine. His revolutionary idea, formally proposed to Navy leadership December 1941 and approved March 5, 1942, create military construction battalions composed of skilled civilian tradesmen organized as combat units. Official Seabees establishment documents expose Morial's genius. Instead of training soldiers to become construction workers, the Navy would recruit construction workers and transform them into sailors. Bureau of Yards and Docks records indicate recruitment specifically targeted men aged 18 to 50 with documented trade experience. Carpenters, electricians, heavy equipment operators, plumbers, engineers, and construction foremen. This inverted traditional military training doctrine entirely. The organizational innovation proved transformative. Historical records confirm each naval construction battalion contained approximately 1,000 men organized into companies specializing in specific construction functions. Official tables of organization documents reveal each battalion functioned as a self-contained construction factory. Equipment operators, skilled craftsmen, engineers, and logistics personnel all integrated under military command and discipline. No equivalent organizational structure existed in any military force worldwide. American industrial integration created unprecedented capabilities. Declassified logistics documents demonstrate Navy planners coordinated directly with American construction equipment manufacturers. Caterpillar, International Harvester, and other companies modified equipment specifically for Seabee requirements. Technical specifications from Naval Construction Battalion Center archives show custom-designed equipment. Amphibious bulldozers capable of beach landings, portable sawmills, mobile concrete mixing plants, and self-contained power generation units designed for tropical operations. Innovation extended to construction techniques. Seabee training manuals from 1942 through 1943, preserved at the Seabee Museum, document revolutionary methods developed specifically for combat zone conditions. Engineers designed rapid runway construction techniques using coral aggregate and Marston matting, pierced steel planking, creating operational airstrips in days rather than months. Technical bulletins reveal innovations in prefabricated building systems, expedited concrete curing methods exploiting tropical heat, and equipment modifications for extreme humidity conditions. Superior logistics planning provided the foundation. Official Navy logistics documents demonstrate Seabees deployed with complete equipment sets organized in standardized shipping configurations. Each battalion arrived with everything needed for immediate operations: bulldozers, cranes, trucks, concrete mixers, generators, fuel supplies, and construction materials preloaded in sequence for rapid unloading and immediate use. This eliminated traditional construction delays waiting for equipment and materials. Most critically, declassified planning documents confirm Seabees operated under combat rules of engagement. Unlike traditional civilian contractors, Seabees trained as fighting men. Official training records indicate every Seabee qualified with weapons and received combat training. They held military rank, operated under military command, and were authorized to defend work sites with force. American commanders possessed what Japanese forces couldn't comprehend: industrialized construction operating at American industrial speeds, with military discipline under combat conditions. Navy statistics document the result. By 1945, approximately 325,000 Seabees served in 151 construction battalions worldwide, representing America's industrial might transformed into military construction power. Official operational timelines document the critical moment opposing construction philosophies collided. The Guadalcanal Campaign, August 1942. U.S. Navy records confirm that when Marines landed on Guadalcanal August 7, 1942, they captured a partially completed Japanese airfield. Naval Construction Battalion records indicate the 6th NCB arrived August 12 to complete the captured facility. Japanese intelligence assessments, documented and captured communications translated through Allied translator and interpreter section, expose catastrophic miscalculations. Japanese 17th Army intelligence summaries from mid-August 1942 estimated American forces required 4 to 6 weeks minimum completing the airfield under combat conditions. Their analysis assumed traditional military construction timelines and conventional methodologies. Military records document what actually transpired. The 6th NCB War Diary, preserved in National Archives Record Group 71, details Seabees working 18 to 20-hour shifts using portable floodlights for night operations. Despite Japanese aerial bombing and naval shelling, official records confirm the renamed Henderson Field became operational August 20, 1942, just 8 days after Seabees arrived. This pattern repeated across the Pacific. Declassified operational plans from Admiral William Halsey's South Pacific Command show American commanders deliberately exploited Japanese construction timeline misconceptions. Intelligence documents reveal American planners knew Japanese forces calculated response times based on their own engineering capabilities. U.S. operational orders specifically directed rapid airfield construction to achieve operational surprise before Japanese forces could mount effective counteroffensives. Official movement orders document the Seabee deployment strategy. Navy logistics records confirm construction battalions loaded and deployed with invasion forces, not as follow-on support elements. This integration meant bulldozers and construction equipment hit beaches with assault troops. War diaries from multiple Pacific landings describe Seabees beginning airfield construction within hours of initial landings, often while combat operations continued around them. Japanese forces consistently failed detecting American construction capabilities. Intercepted Japanese radio communications, documented in ultra-intelligence summaries, show Japanese commanders reporting normal construction activity, even as Seabees achieved extraordinary progress. The intelligence gap proved fatal. By the time Japanese commanders recognized functional air bases, American aircraft were already operating from them. The timing proved perfect. As 1943 advanced, American island-hopping strategy required rapid base construction supporting each successive operation. Seabees positioned at the operational spearhead, ready demonstrating capabilities that would shock Japanese commanders at every turn. Then, across the Pacific theater, official military logs document the pattern emerging. American construction speeds that Japanese military planning deemed impossible became routine operational reality. Official after-action reports from mid-1943 through 1944 document decisive construction confrontations across the Pacific. The pattern became devastatingly clear at multiple locations. Munda Point on New Georgia, Bougainville, Saipan, Tinian, and dozens of other islands where American construction capabilities collided with Japanese interdiction doctrine. The Munda Point operation provides the most thoroughly documented example. Official records from the 24th Naval Construction Battalion confirm Japanese forces correctly identified American construction efforts beginning July 1943. Japanese aerial reconnaissance photographed bulldozers and construction equipment. Intelligence assessments, captured in later documents, show Japanese commanders calculating they possessed sufficient time destroying the facility through sustained bombing. Military construction logs reveal what actually transpired. Despite Japanese bombing runs averaging 2 to 3 per day, Seabee war diaries document continuous 24-hour construction operations. The 24th NCB employed a revolutionary technique documented in their after-action reports: distributed construction. Instead of building one runway sequentially, Seabees simultaneously worked multiple sections spread across the site. When Japanese bombers damaged one area, crews immediately shifted to undamaged sections. The numbers from official Navy records prove shocking. Japanese bombing caused an estimated 40 to 60 hours of construction delays through direct damage. But Seabee work logs document that overlapping shifts and distributed construction meant those delays spread across multiple weeks without stopping overall progress. The mathematical result, documented in construction completion reports. Munda Airfield reached operational status in 20 days despite sustained Japanese bombardment. Captured Japanese communications reveal mounting disbelief. Allied translator and interpreter section translation documents show Japanese 8th Fleet reporting to Rabaul headquarters. Enemy construction proceeds at incomprehensible speed. Despite confirmed bombing damage, airfield expansion continues. Current intelligence cannot explain construction methodology or timeline. Technical innovations documented in Seabee reports explain the seemingly impossible speeds. Engineering records describe using coral and crushed rock aggregate that set rapidly in tropical heat. Technical bulletins document Marston matting installation techniques where teams laid pierced steel planking at rates exceeding 100 linear feet per hour. Equipment logs show construction machinery operating in 8-hour rotating shifts, meaning bulldozers, graders, and rollers literally never stopped. Personal accounts from Seabee personnel, archived in oral history collections, describe the construction choreography. 124th NCB equipment operator recalled, "We had it down to a science. The dozers would cut and level, graders followed immediately behind, then the roller compacted while the next dozer section was already cutting ahead. At night we worked by generator lights. The only time we stopped was when Jap bombers came over, then we hit the foxholes, waited out the raid, filled the bomb craters and went right back to work." The decisive moment arrived when American aircraft began operating from bases Japanese commanders believed remained weeks from completion. Navy operational records document that American fighters and bombers launching from supposedly incomplete facilities achieved tactical surprise repeatedly. Japanese air raid planning assumed they were attacking construction sites. Instead, they encountered operational American air bases with fighter coverage. Official U.S. Navy statistics quantify the construction dominance. In the Central Pacific alone, Seabees constructed or improved 111 airfields. Japanese forces managed to significantly delay or prevent completion of 0. Captured Japanese strategic planning documents from late 1943 revealed devastating realizations spreading through Imperial military headquarters. A translated planning document from Japanese Combined Fleet staff, dated November 1943 and preserved in Allied Translator and Interpreter Section archives, states, "American construction capabilities exceed all intelligence estimates. Enemy establishes functional air bases and timeframes our forces require merely for site preparation. Current defensive strategy based on construction interdiction appears operationally invalid." Prisoner of war interrogation reports, documented by Allied intelligence services, provide first-hand accounts of Japanese shock. One captured Japanese Navy engineer officer, interrogated December 1943, stated according to official records, "We calculated bomb damage that should halt construction for weeks. Within days, sometimes hours, American work resumed. They operate construction equipment at night using powerful lights. Their organization appeared immune to our interdiction efforts." The strategic impact cascaded through Japanese defensive planning. Declassified Japanese naval operation orders from 1944, captured after the war, show fundamental strategy revisions. Where earlier orders emphasized destroying American construction efforts, later directives focused on defending completed Japanese facilities, tacitly acknowledging that stopping American construction had become impossible. Official Japanese military communications reveal the psychological dimension. Radio intercepts from Japanese garrison commanders, documented in ultra-intelligence summaries, increasingly reported construction progress with fatalistic language. One garrison commander on Amiro Island radioed March 1944, "Enemy airfield nearing completion ahead of predicted schedule. Request immediate reinforcement before enemy air operations commence." The reinforcements never arrived. American aircraft were already flying missions before Japanese high command could respond. The construction speed advantage compounded into operational catastrophe. U.S. Navy operational records demonstrate how rapid base construction enabled the island-hopping strategy. Historical analyses from the Naval War College confirm that while Japanese forces fortified existing positions, Americans simply bypassed them and built new bases at unprecedented speed. Each new American airfield extended American air coverage further, making subsequent Japanese positions increasingly untenable. Military historians emphasize that by mid-1944, captured Japanese planning documents show defensive strategy essentially abandoned the outer Pacific. Japanese forces concentrated on inner defense lines precisely because they recognized they couldn't match American construction speeds across vast Pacific distances. What began as Japanese confidence in construction interdiction ended in documented strategic collapse, with American bases appearing faster than Japanese forces could counter them. Official U.S. Navy strategic assessments from 1944 through 1945 document how Seabee construction capabilities fundamentally altered Pacific War strategy. Declassified planning documents from Admiral Chester Nimitz's Pacific Fleet headquarters confirm that rapid airfield construction became the foundational assumption for American operational planning. The immediate tactical advantages appear in official battle reports. Navy records demonstrate American commanders routinely planned operations assuming airfield completion in 2 to 3 weeks maximum. This assumption, documented in operation orders from Saipan, Tinian, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa, allowed aggressive operational timelines impossible under traditional construction schedules. Historical analysis from the U.S. Army Center of Military History confirms that American ability to quickly establish air superiority from newly constructed bases proved decisive in multiple campaigns. Media and public reaction, documented in contemporary news coverage, transformed Seabees into American heroes. War Department public affairs records show that Seabee construction achievements featured prominently in American war bond drives and morale-building publicity. The can-do motto, officially adopted by Seabees, entered American popular culture through extensive media coverage documented in newspaper archives and newsreel footage from 1943 through 1945. Allied command responses appear in official communications. Declassified correspondence between British Pacific Fleet commanders and Admiralty headquarters expresses amazement at American construction speeds. One British naval officer wrote in official correspondence from late 1944, "American base construction proceeds at speeds that would be considered impossible under peacetime conditions, yet they achieve this under combat operations. The scale and speed of their engineering capabilities suggests industrial capacity we cannot match." The construction dominance enabled subsequent operations documented in official planning records. U.S. Navy logistics studies from 1944 show that rapid base construction allowed American forces to maintain operational pressure without pausing for lengthy base development. Each island captured became a functional base within weeks, supporting the next operation. Historical analyses demonstrate this operational tempo prevented Japanese forces from establishing effective defensive lines. Official Navy statistics quantify the achievement. By war's end, documented in final construction reports, Seabees had built 111 major airstrips, 441 piers, 2,558 ammunition magazines, 700 square blocks of warehouses, hospitals for 70,000 patients, tanks for 100 million gallons of fuel, and housing for 1.5 million men across the Pacific Theater. Japanese forces, by contrast, spent most of 1944 through 1945 merely trying to maintain their existing shrinking infrastructure. Military historians and academic institutions emphasize that Seabee construction achievements represented one of World War II's most significant yet underappreciated innovations. The U.S. Naval War College's Historical Analysis Department published comprehensive studies documenting how construction capabilities functioned as combat multipliers equivalent to major weapon systems. Dr. Ronald Spector's academic work Eagle Against the Sun, The American War with Japan, published by the Naval Institute Press, places Seabee capabilities within broader Pacific strategy context. His analysis, based on extensive archival research, concludes that American construction speed became a strategic weapon as important as carriers or submarines. Japanese forces planned defensive operations assuming construction timelines that American Seabees rendered obsolete, creating systematic strategic disadvantages. The innovation permanently altered U.S. military doctrine. Official U.S. Navy Civil Engineer Corps historical records document that Seabee organizational concepts became the permanent foundation for American military construction. Post-war military construction doctrine, documented in professional military education materials from the Naval Construction Battalion Center, incorporated lessons from Pacific operations, integrated military construction units, equipment standardization, rapid deployment capabilities, and combat zone construction techniques. Influence on subsequent conflicts appears in official military records. Korean War construction reports reference Seabee methods and organizational structures. Vietnam War base construction operations, documented in Army Corps of Engineers historical records, explicitly built upon Seabee innovations in rapid construction under combat conditions. More recently, operations in Iraq and Afghanistan employed construction units directly descended from the Seabee organizational model. The broader significance extends beyond military applications. Academic analyses from engineering history departments note that Seabee innovations in prefabricated construction, rapid concrete techniques, and equipment modification influenced post-war civilian construction industry developments. The Society of American Military Engineers published historical research showing how Seabee methods accelerated post-war construction techniques. Professional military education institutions continued teaching Seabee achievements as case studies in military innovation. U.S. Army War College curriculum materials include Seabee construction operations as examples of successful operational innovation. Joint Forces Staff College case studies analyze how construction capabilities enabled operational strategy. Most profoundly, military historians document that Seabees demonstrated a uniquely American approach to warfare, transforming industrial capability into combat power. Academic analyses emphasize that only American industrial capacity could have created, equipped, and sustained 325,000 construction personnel operating globally while maintaining combat forces. This integration of industrial power with military operations, documented extensively in economic histories of World War II, proved decisive across multiple theaters. The legacy appears in modern American military doctrine. Current joint operational planning explicitly includes construction capabilities as core operational enablers. The concept that construction speed provides strategic advantage, originally proven by Seabees in the Pacific, remains foundational to American military planning today. Military historians document a clear lesson from Seabee achievements in the Pacific. American victory emerged not just from courage or firepower, but from the ability to transform industrial capability into operational advantage. The Seabees proved that construction speed could function as a decisive military capability, turning engineering into a combat weapon that left Japanese forces unable to counter American operational tempo. The shock value bears repeating. Japanese military planners consistently calculated they had months to respond to American construction efforts. Official records prove they typically had weeks, sometimes merely days. This systematic miscalculation, born from Japanese commanders' inability to comprehend American industrial speeds applied under combat conditions, contributed directly to strategic collapse across the Pacific. The contrast remains stark and documented. Where Japanese forces struggled to maintain existing infrastructure, Americans built new bases faster than enemies could destroy them. Official statistics prove the dominance. 111 major airstrips built while under fire, operational capabilities established in timeframes Japanese intelligence deemed impossible, construction achievements that enabled the entire island-hopping strategy that won the Pacific War. The broader American military tradition shines through documented Seabee accomplishments. These weren't just construction workers. They were sailors who fought and built simultaneously, who worked through bombing raids and artillery bombardment, who transformed impossible timelines into routine reality through American ingenuity, determination, and industrial might. If these documented construction achievements amaze you, the Pacific War contains dozens more stories of American innovation and determination that military records prove defied enemy expectations. Hit subscribe to ensure you don't miss the next deep dive into verified World War II history. Drop a comment sharing which Pacific theater battle or technology you'd like explored next. Carrier warfare, submarine campaigns, or perhaps the island-hopping strategy that Seabee construction made possible. Like this video if military history using primary sources and official documentation appeals to you. It helps the algorithm share these educational stories with more history enthusiasts. Military history proves: never underestimate American industrial capability transformed into combat power. The Seabees didn't just build bases, they built victory one impossible timeline at a time.